Before this week's video, I want to address the events that transpired this past week. In the late hours of Wednesday, November 5th, Marshawn Kneeland tragically passed away and was later revealed to have been from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Marshawn was a beloved person and beloved teammate as described by the Cowboys, and Marshawn's tragic passing is an unfortunate reminder that suicide is still a very significant reality of today's society. In 2023 alone, 49,000 people died by suicide. That equates to one death every 11 minutes. Suicide is something that has unfortunately affected a number of people in a number of ways, myself included. I want everyone watching to know truly that you are loved, your presence matters, and truly there are people out there that care about you. If you, someone you love, friend, family member, anyone you know is struggling, please reach out and talk to someone. It can be a family member, it can be a friend, could be a professional like a therapist or counselor, could be really anyone. Speaking up is not a sign of weakness. And I know it's a cliche, but it is cliche for a reason. It truly is okay to not be okay. I want to give my condolences to Marshawn's family, friends, the Dallas Cowboys organization, and anyone else affected by this horrible tragedy. And I encourage everyone to keep everyone affected by this tragedy in their thoughts. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So we are officially 10 weeks in, and we had another pretty good and pretty eventful week as we get closer to the playoff race and the playoffs themselves. We're going to start to see more and more of these tight, physical, close matchups, and I think for the better. Obviously, nothing I think is going to live up to last week, but we still had a really good week this week. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off on Thursday night, we had the Denver Broncos moving to 8-2, taking down the Las Vegas Raiders 10-7, and my God, what an ugly game it was. This was not a fun game to watch, and it wasn't even one of those fun defensive matchups to watch either. This game was just flat out ugly. As for the Denver Broncos, thank God we were playing the Raiders this week. 29 other teams, that definitely would have been a loss. So definitely glad it was the Raiders this week and no one else. And I think that Peyton's play calling, Bo Nix not having his best, the O-line not having their best, it's just, there really wasn't a lot of good going on, at least on the offensive side of the ball on Thursday. And they've got 10 days to correct it. They've got a little mini bye, as a lot of people call it, to get everything figured out before they play the Chiefs. Because if they play like that against Kansas City next week, they're going to lose by at least 20. I think they have the capabilities to figure it out, and I really hope they figure it out. Because again, if they play like that next week, it's not going to be the optimistic conversation here. As for Las Vegas, the defense finally played a great game and the offense completely wasted it. They still really need to figure out how to get out of that Geno Smith contract because, my God, it is ugly. And the fact that they can only get the ball to Bowers once is extremely concerning, and that falls on Pete Carroll and his coaching staff again. Bowers had a dominant week last week against the Jaguars, and almost a complete non-factor just 4 days later, which is extremely concerning, and again, is the responsibility of the coaching staff. Then on Sunday morning, we had the Indianapolis Colts taking down the Atlanta Falcons in Germany in overtime, 31-25. And personally, I'm not entirely shocked that this game was as close as it was. I said this could be a trap game for the Colts, considering how they played last week and really the desperation that the Falcons are starting to get into and the talent that they have on their roster. And this was overall a very fun, competitive, back and forth game to watch. As for Indy, I really think the Jonathan Taylor MVP agenda has never been stronger. He tallied 244 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on Sunday, including an 83-yard scamper to the end zone. On the flip side of the coin, the Daniel Jones trends are becoming concerning. It was really the turnovers on Sunday, and whenever he wasn't throwing to Tyler Warren, which concerns me and really reminds me more of the Giants' Daniel Jones rather than the first couple weeks of this season Daniel Jones that we've been seeing here. I'm starting to slightly doubt that Daniel Jones has truly turned his career around. I'm starting to think more and more that maybe this was just kind of lightning in the bottle and more defenses didn't have any film on this offense, which is why he was able to play as well as he was. But again, this is 2 games out of the 10 that they've played. So I'm not going to say for sure yet, but I'm starting to doubt more and more that it was anything more than that. As for Atlanta, this game proved to me once and for all that Raheem Morris is not the guy. This game showed that this team is way too talented to be 3-6. And the defense played well again, but the offense just gave them too many short fields. It wasn't Penix's best game. It wasn't a horrible game by any means, but he definitely missed some throws and definitely set the defense up to fail maybe just a little bit too often. But again, he's playing his 11th career game, so I don't think it's cause for concern, but I just think that this game was an indicator that it's time to make a change at the head coaching position. And then moving into the afternoon window, the Houston Texans took down the Jacksonville Jaguars 36-29. And considering the circumstances, this was one of the more unlikely and more improbable comebacks in some time. As for Houston, this is an incredible win and an incredibly important one. They desperately needed this game, and considering how it went down, this is a huge win for them. And they're finally within true shouting distance of the wildcard hunt. They're a game back of these Jaguars that they're chasing. Fortunately, they don't have the tiebreaker per se since they split with the Jaguars this year, but they're definitely within range to catch and pass the Jaguars, so a good win for them here. As for Jacksonville, I'm not saying this definitely will be one, but this has the vibes of a season-altering loss. You are up 29-10 on your division opponent that's trying to chase you for a playoff spot, who was down their starting quarterback in this game, and you still blew it. Part of that is that the defense is beyond, it just needs to be worked on. It's a work in progress. It's flat out bad, and it's a problem that's holding this team back. And the offense, as of this point, is just way too inconsistent to make up for it. So I think that that's something the offense has to work on, but more so the defense needs to both work on this season and then be later overhauled in the offseason. And continuing through the 1 o'clock window, the Miami Dolphins absolutely boat raced the Buffalo Bills 30-13. And this wasn't only an upset, this was total domination by the Dolphins. As for Miami, I do think it's too little too late. I'm not going to pretend that maybe they're saving their season, but it's always nice to beat your rival, especially for the first time in 3 years. So hats off, good win for you. As for Buffalo, I definitely got more to say about you guys. The defense is alarming. The offense finally had a subpar to bad game, and as you can see by the score, the Bills got absolutely smoked. Some losses I think you can chalk up as it was a down week, any given Sunday, yada yada yada, but not this one. You just told the entire league that you are a one-dimensional football team because the defense has not really played well in any of their games so far. And like I said, the offense had a bad game and you lost by 17 to a 2-win team. So if I'm a Bills fan, I'm concerned about this team's longevity once we get into January football. And staying in the 1 o'clock window, the Baltimore Ravens traveled to Minnesota to take down the Vikings 27-19. And these were two teams that were needing a win to stay in the playoff race. And once again, only one team played like it and played that mistake-free football necessary. And once again, it was the Baltimore Ravens. As for Baltimore, like I mentioned, they played the desperate style of football that they needed to. And they didn't quite have the finish this week, as opposed to the past couple of weeks. Maybe settled for a field goal or two too many, but this was overall a very quality, very complete, and very good team win for them. And once again, every result in the division broke your way. You guys won. Most importantly, the Steelers lost. The Bengals were on a bye, and the Browns lost, but I really don't think you have to worry about the Browns at this point. As for Minnesota, the up and down trends for the Vikings continue. 1 week, they look like a legit NFC wildcard, potentially even NFC North contender, and the other week, they look like they're going to scrape by and end up with the number 12 pick in the draft. And overall, it just wasn't their best effort. They had 7 false starts, and it was a home game. They had 7 false starts in their own house, that is just completely inexcusable. I don't know how that even happens. And for their sake, I hope KOC makes practice this week a living hell for that O-line. And staying in the 1 o'clock window and going to our game of the week, the Patriots took down the Buccaneers 28-23. And as advertised, this was a great game, a competitive game, and a very close game. Both teams made great game-winning plays and clutch plays throughout the entire game and in crunch time in the second half and fourth quarter. As for New England, you finally got that second quality win to add to your resume next to the Buffalo win. The offense really continues to gel and develop, and the defense continues to complement that and give them a chance to win. And I really think that you've got something in Travion Henderson. He finally got his time to shine with all the running back injuries, and he dominated on Sunday. So I think he's going to be a perfect shotgun rider to Drake May, maybe for years to come. Obviously, it's only one game, so I'm not going to say that for sure, but I really think that you might have something, and he definitely deserves to be the bell cow in this offense. As for Tampa Bay, this was another game where the injuries really hurt them. Once the Patriots figured out a way to take out Egbuka with having Gonzalez follow him around, the Bucs offense slowed down mightily. And really, I'm not too concerned considering, again, the injuries that the Bucs offense is dealing with. But I don't think it's some to just dismiss and footnote either. And I think maybe the Patriots have given NFC contenders a potential formula on how to beat this Buccaneers team in January. And moving into our 4 o'clock window, it was really weird. All 3 games had almost the exact same score. And really, the only one worth talking about was the Los Angeles Rams taking down their division rival, the San Francisco 49ers, 42-26. And this was a game that looked for a second there, like especially early in the second half, that it might start to get close, but then the Rams were eventually able to pull away. As for LA, like I said in the video last week, getting swept by the Niners would have been a tough pill to swallow. So this was the exact kind of performance that the Rams needed. Once again, it's just complimentary football in LA. The offense made the defense job pretty easy, who in their own right had a pretty good game themselves. And sitting at 7-2, you're in a really good spot coming down the stretch here to make the playoffs and potentially earn a division title. As for San Francisco, I think this game proved why Purdy is so valuable. Shanahan's system makes him and Mac Jones look good, but Purdy is the quarterback that puts this team over the edge into Super Bowl contention. He's the quarterback that will go out there and make game-winning plays. As we saw with Mac Jones, that's really not the case. And I'm really not too concerned, per se, with the 49ers, but sitting at 6-4, there's little to no room for error for when or if Purdy comes back here down the stretch. And on Sunday night, the Los Angeles Chargers took down the Steelers 25-10. And contrary to what the score might indicate, it might not seem like it, but this was pure domination. The Steelers kind of scored a garbage time touchdown there to make it look a little closer. But really, only one team showed up here. And only one, again, the Chargers, was really dangerous all night. As for LA, this looked like the defense of last year. They completely took over, shut the Steelers down, made the offense's job pretty easy here. And this is really the first time we've seen that defense come out this season. And it's really more that complimentary football that we saw so much out of them last year. Again, the defense did their job, held the offense in check, made the offense's job pretty easy. They only had to score 23 points. Obviously, 2 of them came off of a safety. They're definitely going to need more of that coming down the stretch with how competitive their own division is and how competitive the AFC wildcard race is if they want to make the playoffs. As for Pittsburgh, coming off the win last week against Indy, this was really not the performance I was expecting. It was a polar opposite of last week. They could not move the ball. The defense could not get off the field. It was really kind of surprising just to see how bad this week was in comparison to how good they were last week. And it's especially worse considering that Baltimore is breathing down your neck now. They are only 1 game out of taking the division lead out of your hands. And then our Monday night game, we had the Eagles traveling to Lambeau and taking down the Packers 10-7. And if I had a nickel for every primetime game this week that was miserable to watch and ended in a 10-7 score, I'd have 2 nickels, which really isn't a lot, but it's really weird that it happened twice. As for Philadelphia, I'm going to end up being overshadowed that LaFleur's play calling was worse, but Nick Sirianni had one of his worst games ever as a head coach, and that's really saying something because there are some stinkers in there. It's like it's 4th and 6 at what, the Green Bay 36? Green Bay has no timeouts. It's after the 2-minute warning. What in the world are you doing? Why are you going for it? Either draw the offsides and go for it on 4th and 1 with the tush push, or just take the delay of game, give your punter more room to pin them deep and force Green Bay to go, 40, 50 yards to at least attempt to try and tie the game? Like, what are you doing? And all of this really overshadows what was truly a great performance by this Philly defense. They completely shut down that Green Bay offense and really gave them fits all night. As for Green Bay, as I mentioned, Matt LaFleur has once again had an awful game. I don't know what his obsession all of a sudden is with screen passes and swing passes, but if the Packers want to go anywhere this season, it's got to stop, ASAP. And personally, I haven't seen enough Jordan Love slander on the timeline. It's a bit of a trend that he hasn't played well against good to even above average defenses. Look, Cleveland, Arizona, Carolina, and now Philadelphia, all not his best games, and 3 out of those 4 games ended up being losses. So, I really don't know with Green Bay. Consistency is an issue, and it's really starting to look like that maybe this Green Bay offense just feeds on bad defenses. That just might be what it is here. And looking ahead to Week 11, first up on Thursday night, we've got the New York Jets traveling to Foxborough to take on the division-leading Patriots. This is another one of those games where on paper it's going to look one-sided, looks like it's going to be a blowout. But I'll warn again that sometimes these divisional games, and specifically these Thursday night games, can tend to get a little weird, a little wacky. So on paper, should be Patriots win. I'm expecting a Patriots win, but just watch out for some wackiness is all I'm saying. Then on Sunday morning, we've got the Washington Commanders taking on the Miami Dolphins in Spain. And unfortunately for the residents of Spain, their first NFL game is quite a stinker. Obviously, Daniels is still out. The Dolphins still suck. Sorry guys, but your introduction to the NFL and American football is not really the best one. Then in the 1 o'clock window, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. These are two good teams, two probable playoff teams that are both coming off a loss, so there's going to be a bit of a sense of urgency here with both of these teams to not fall into a skid, kind of get off the schneid here. Maybe more so for Buffalo, seeing that they are chasing the Patriots in their own division. But like I said, two good teams that are going to be playing a little bit of some desperation football, so it should be pretty fun. Then staying in the 1 o'clock window, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. And this is a pretty big game in terms of the AFC wild card. For the Jaguars, this game is going to go a long way towards deciding just really what kind of team they have this year. Obviously, they got the tough news a couple days ago that Travis Hunter is done for the year, so this game's going to go a long way towards kind of figuring out what team the Jags have this year and if playoffs are a realistic goal this year or not. Then staying in the 1 o'clock window, we've got the Chicago Bears traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. And if everything goes how it's been going so far this year, this should be the week where the Vikings remember how to play football and play a good game. So we'll have to see if that continues here, because obviously this is a pretty big game within the NFC North. The Vikings can win. They can pull within a game of the current division leaders and once again really throw a wrench within the NFC North here. Then in the 4 o'clock window, we've got two massive games this week. First up, we got the Seattle Seahawks traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. This is the long-awaited showdown between the two top teams in the NFC West. Obviously, they're both 7-2, so you don't really need me to tell you that this is a huge game in terms of the NFC West and in terms of the NFC playoff picture as a whole. So it should be a lot of fun here. Then our other big one in the 4 o'clock window is the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Denver to take on the division-leading Broncos. And much like the Rams-Seahawks game, this game is going to go a long way towards deciding the AFC West, the AFC as a whole, and potentially even home field advantage in the AFC. And if Denver can win this game, they'll really take a stranglehold on their AFC West lead. And it'll really accelerate the sense of urgency in Kansas City. If they drop this game, they won't only be 500, they'll be 3.5 back of their own division. So there is a real sense of urgency here for both teams. Then on Sunday night, we've got the Detroit Lions traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. And this is yet another game with some pretty big playoff implications. We're going to have a lot of these so far, but the way I see it, the more the merrier. So obviously going to be a huge game towards deciding seeding within the NFC. Looking at it from a single game perspective, a football watching perspective, should be a pretty fun matchup between the Detroit offense and the Philadelphia defense. And on Monday night, we've got the Dallas Cowboys traveling to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. And these are two struggling teams throughout the past couple of games, especially on the defensive side of the ball. The way I see it, since that's the case, could have some fireworks. Really not the most important game, but could be a fun watch. But that is it for me. If you have any thoughts of your own on this past week, the week ahead, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you have any thoughts on what I said on this past week, the week ahead, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you like what you're seeing, feel free to like and subscribe. It's completely optional, but greatly appreciated. That is it for me. Enjoy week 11, and I'll see you in the next one.